Hi team, Coach Alexa here, latest in my series of videos about overtraining. So I touched on this a little bit in my intro video and my last video, that when we talk about overtraining, it's about that seesaw balance, the weighing scales balance between the training load, the physical training that we're doing across each week, across all activities, and then the rest or recovery time you get. And one of the common causes of overtraining is that we've kept that training load too high and the focus on rest and recovery too low for an extended period of time. Now, there is another big aspect that I'd like to talk about in today's video that can impact that rest and recovery. So regardless almost of whether or not we are taking rest days, download or recovery weeks, there's a big factor that can influence how effective that recovery and rest time is, and that's basically stress levels. So it's what else is going on in your life. So some of it might be work, might have a very stressful job with long hours. It might be stressful things going on in your personal life. It might be, somebody in your close friends and family is ill. It might be that your child is having problems at school. It can be a whole host of reasons why we have a low level of stress. In fact, I'd say it's pretty common, isn't it? A lot of us, we're busy, and we're worried about stuff, we're anxious about things, and often with a lot of us there's this bubbling along in the background of low to medium levels of stress almost all of the time. Now, the challenge with that is our bodies and brains are built for much more for immediate stressors. So if you think back only just a few hundred years, unless you were the king or queen of a country, you'd probably have a life where it was relatively low stress until something particular happened. So, there might have been some sort of accident or dreadful weather, or, there might be lions nearby. So our brains and bodies are built to deal with a particular stressor that arrives suddenly. You have to do something about, probably immediately. You have to deal with it, and then it's over and it's gone. So our stress response, which is predominantly a combination of adrenaline and cortisol, two hormones in our bodies, that they ramp up, they prime us for action. You might have heard about the fight, flight or freeze reaction, bit of an oversimplification, but not a bad one. We're primed, we've got oxygen and nutrients going to the muscles. Our body actually turns down the functioning of a lot of other systems like digestion, immune system, all those recovery functions, so we can get on with fighting off those lions or protecting our family from something, or putting out the fire or whatever it might be. The problem is our bodies and brains are not really able to deal with low to medium continuing levels of stress. They're built to deal with a stressful thing and then back to normal, no stress, a stressful thing and then back to normal. And in day-to-day life these days, particularly in North America and Europe, it's kind of low to medium level stress most, if not all of the time. And what that means is that our adrenaline and cortisol levels are elevated most, if not all of the time. And what that means is that our digestion, our immune system, and our ability for our body to repair, recover from and adapt to training is reduced most of the time. So you can kind of imagine how this can start having a bit of an impact on how we are physically, as well as, of course, mentally. I guess the problem is, what do we do about it? And a lot of this is easier said than done. As I mentioned, it seems to be a pretty endemic problem culturally, in a lot of cultures in the world, and that we've just got to do more, be productive, get stuck into things, and we really don't value the downtime where we're stepping away from that stress. So a lot of this is easier said than done. If you have an ill child, or you're going through a breakup, or it's quarter end at work, some of it is unavoidable. If you can avoid those stressful situations, if you can maybe step back from a couple of optional stressors in your life. I had to step back from a slightly difficult and politically interesting volunteer role a while back because I realised that the risks were outweighing the benefits to me. But it's So if you can avoid some of the stresses in your life, great. I appreciate that it's much easier said than done in a lot of cases. So the other thing to think about is, how can I get some downtime in each day? Time where we're not always doing something and thinking or worrying about stuff, because that is going to have a massively positive impact on our physical recovery, our digestion, our energy levels, our immune system, and our recovery from an adaptation to training. So this might be just starting with a few minutes every day of doing nothing, being physically inactive, and focusing on doing something calming. So that might be spending 5 minutes sitting down with a cup of tea, gazing out the window. One of my favourite little breaks that I take a couple of times throughout each day. It might be, I don't know, reading a nice calm book. It might be listening to some lovely music that you've been looking forward to listening to. It will definitely involve leaving your phone, computer, or any electronic device alone. They are now designed quite well to keep our brain kind of scrolling, pushing, clicking, liking. And from a brain's point of view, that is not relaxing. That is actually perpetuating that stress cycle in your brain. So immense benefits for our brains to do this, as well as our bodies. You know, you might notice if you've been low level stressed for a while, you come down with a few more colds and winter bugs. It will help your immune system, allowing some downtime into your life. So I'd thoroughly recommend it as something to try. It is easier said than done, and actually prioritising time to do nothing and to allow your body and brain to settle and to de-stress is hard. It is a challenge culturally today. I don't think that's something that's valued at all, is it? The doing nothing so that our body can just sit and repair and do what it's supposed to do. But it is unbelievably useful for your overall health and well-being, and also your running. Win-win.